Objections aren't rejection. They're just hesitation, and handling them right could become the greatest conversion lever in your business. Today's episode, I'm going to teach you my tricks for overcoming objections.
Let's go. I don't know what comes next, but I couldn't care less. I refuse to be stressed. There's no fear in my chest. Hear the boom from my stairs. Walk away from the pain I've been through. This feeling I'm feeling is brand new. This the moment I break through.
Welcome to 10-Minute Masterclass. I'm your host and lead MC, Trey Sheneman. And each week on 10-Minute Masterclass, it's our goal to be the mic drop or business breakthrough for you in that week. Now, how do we do that? We do that by always trying to translate what we consider to be timeless business principles to help you to solve today's business problems. We do that through one of the core 4 drivers of growth each week as well. If you've listened any length before, you know what those are. Today's episode, we're going to jump into the sales driver of growth, and we're going to talk about one of the things that so many people don't want to talk about if you've ever been in sales, and it's the fact that you're going to hear way more no's than you're going to hear yeses. I think back to so many of the businesses that I've been responsible for the top line growth of the business, whether that was through e-commerce sales or in-person sales or even door-to-door sales when I was selling rainbow vacuum cleaners, which was a thing. No's are a thing. They're a part of it. It's your ability to quickly identify when it's actually a no versus a not now or a need more information. That is the key to really being able to scale, because the truth is really great sales professionals should never fear objections. They should actually see objections as the doorway to the deal. This is actually how you get your close rate up, because in every business I've worked in, scale never happened without somebody being really good at overcoming objections when they came up. Because objections most of the time actually mean the person is interested in what it is you're trying to say, but they're trying to justify it in their own minds. And they're engaged enough to hesitate. If they're really disinterested, their body language, their tonality, and their energy is going to say no emphatically, and you're not going to have to wonder. But when they're in that middle where it's like, maybe it's a no, maybe it's a yes, that's when those objections tend to start to pop up. And it's when we got to be prepared to really lean in and help, negotiate our way out of those objections. So the big idea for today is really objections. Most of the time, objections are just unanswered questions. Somewhere in the sales process, we just did not cover one of the main things that person wanted to know. And so now they have an objection about it. And so today I want to go over the 4 most common objections that I've heard in my career, no matter what it is I've been selling, and how over time I've learned to handle them. Now, in full transparency, I wasn't always great at this. Part of being able to overcome objections comes with experience. Not just the experience of having objections thrown at you, but the experience you get of having stayed in a field for 10, 15, 16 years like I am right now, where that muscle gets stretched so much and used so much that they become more natural for you to overcome. So that's certainly part of it. But the other thing here is like, I really want to make sure that we're recognizing we can do all the greatest marketing in the world to create a whole ton of opportunities. But if we're not good at closing, we're not good at squeezing that extra 2 or 3 or 4 percentage points out, we're going to have a really hard time of scaling a business big to the size that I want your businesses to get over time. So let's work through these 4 common objections. I think they're common. And I'm also it'd be the first time I've ever asked for this. If you feel like I missed one or there's another one that you'd like to hear me say how I would handle, shoot me a DM about it on LinkedIn, and I'll create some video content or written content on LinkedIn to answer that question. So I want to make sure that I'm being helpful. All right, so let's jump into these 4 most common objections. Number 1 is price. The way that this might sound is it's too expensive. What they're really saying when they say something like that is your ability to communicate the value of the thing you're trying to sell has not equipped them enough, and also eclipsed the price point enough in their head for them to say it's worth it. So the posture that you want to take here is you don't want to feel like you're having to defend price. But you do also want to take a position where you highlight the cost of doing nothing, the cost of them staying where they are, the cost of them maybe even picking a competitor. And one of the ways that you do this is to kind of figure out where they're justifying this in their brains is the question that you ask back to somebody when they make a remark about it being too expensive is you say, compared to what? and you shut up and let them fill in there for you what they're saying it's too expensive against. Is it too expensive against staying where you are? Too expensive as compared to something else they're looking at? It's going to give you more information as a salesperson so that then you can reframe the ROI that your product or service brings to the table. And once you hear what they say, your bridge out of that is, oh, a recent client of mine thought the same thing until and then you insert some sort of transformation or story of a win in there and how you reframe that. So we want to have the prospect clarify for us what they're meaning. We want to, by saying, we're going to say compared to what, we're going to let them answer, and then we're going to reframe that back with a story. That's how you overcome that objection. All right, number 2. The time objection. Now's not the right time. That's, maybe in a couple of months or maybe next year. Now's not the right time. What they're really saying is you haven't made it urgent enough yet for me to feel like I got to buy it to solve my problem today. So what you want to do when this objection comes up is you want to acknowledge and redirect. So the way I would do this is I would say something like, hey, I totally get that. Timing matters. But let me ask you, what changes between now and then? Then being whatever time they said. What changes between now and next year? Or what changes between now and next month or next quarter? And see what they articulate is what they think changes. And what you want to have ready to respond to how they articulate the answer to that question is some sort of a trend or a stat that proves people who act now get to results faster. So that's going to have to be some research that you do in your own business. I know for us, like when we sell the Compass method to our clients, if somebody were to say to me, well, we want to wait till the fourth quarter. And if I were to say, well, why then? What changes between now and then? They might say something like, well, we'll have more of a team here to be able to handle it if that time is right. I mean, we got a client right now we've been talking to for several months, and they actually are in the position where they're wanting their revenue to grow before they hire us so they can spend the money from this grown revenue into the next level of growth we want to drive. And I was able to pull a trend out from a company in a very similar stage to them where we showed them how doing the Compass method now actually helps them understand their staffing strategy to build the team out. They can benefit from what it is that we're going to do, which is a huge part of this. So you have to materialize this in your own business in a unique way, but that's how I would overcome that objection. Number 3, I need to think about it. It's what I call the lack of trust objection. What they're really saying is I'm not sure I trust you enough yet to buy from you. And so the big posture you got to have when that comes up is if they're already not trusting you enough is you got to make sure that you don't push, but you do prove. All right. And so this is when you say to them, hey, you know what? Are you on your computer right now? Or, hey, what's your email address? I want to send you something. And you have a case study or a testimonial or something that's in the risk reversal lane, like a coupon or a money back guarantee or something that you're ready to actively send them that basically makes the lack of trust go away. And while you're doing this, you want to say, now, after you've seen that, what else still feels unclear or risky? Because I want to make sure that I'll walk through that with you together. And so you want to give them some proof and then show a posture of being willing to hear their feedback and go from there. All right. So that's how I overcome that one. And the last one's the approval objection. I need to check with my partner, my boss, my sales team. What they're really saying is I'm not confident enough to defend this decision if somebody asks me about why I decided to buy it. So what you want to do in this situation is empower the prospect with assets, one-pagers, demos, recap emails that clearly show ROI. You want to offer to go ahead and schedule a second call right then and there, because it's clear when they say this that they also might not actually be the buyer, and we always want to be talking to the buyer. And so the great question you ask once you've sent them this information is, what concerns do you think they'll raise that you haven't already raised? So that way you can send them this information, you can schedule the follow-up call, and you can get the actual decision makers on the call. So at the end of the day, when you're trying to overcome these 4 objections, the main thing though, obviously I really do think you should use these words that I've given you on this podcast, but the main thing that you want to do is they all follow the same format. Number 1, you want to empathize with what they're saying. Number 2, you want to reframe what they're saying into a position that helps you. And then you want to reinforce while your solution is still the right solution. So this week, write down the objections you hear, Put them in one of those 4 buckets. They all tend to land in one of those 4 buckets. And then just make sure you're also listening to yourself with how you try and overcome them. Are you empathizing? Are you reframing? And then are you reinforcing? Because if you're not, you're going to keep getting stuck on objections you could otherwise overcome. And ultimately, once you overcome those extra 1 or 2 points of conversion that you end up getting out of the business from being willing to do this are going to be huge gains for you as you continue to build as you continue to build and you continue to grow. So thanks so much for always taking this 10 minutes out of your week to hang out with us here on 10-Minute Masterclass. I expect to hear your close rates went up. Make sure you do this. Until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.